everyone! Welcome again to another episode of MATHerrific videos. Again, I'm Miss Valiente and we will be discussing another lesson for the subject Business Mathematics. If you haven't subscribed in our YouTube channel, please do click subscribe and don't forget to click the bell button so you will be updated for more MATHerrific videos. Okay, so for our new topic, we have proportion and the three types of proportion. Now, let's talk about proportion. Okay, so when we say proportion, it is the comparison between two or more ratio. Now, what do we mean by the word ratio? When we say ratio, it is a relationship between two or more quantity or a number. So, let's give an example. For example, in ABM 11-3P, they have 8 girls and 11 boys. Now, we are asked to find the relationship between girls and boys. So, we can write that one as 8 is to 11, or we can write it in a fraction form as 8 over 11. Now, we have the basic principle in proportion. So, the product of the means is equal to the product of the extreme, wherein the means is located in the inner part of our proportion and the extreme is located on the outer part of our proportion. Now, let's talk about the first type of proportion. So, the first one is the direct proportion. So, in direct proportion class, so if the first quantity increase, the second quantity will also increase. However, if the first quantity will decrease, the second quantity will also decrease. Now, let's give an example or a real-life example of a direct proportion. As I said a while ago, when we say direct proportion, if the first quantity increase, it will also result to an increase of another quantity. So one good example is the score to rating. If you will get a high score, of course, it will result to a high rating. But if you will get a low score, it will also result to a low rating. The next example is the number of kilos of rice to the amount that you will pay. For example, 1 kilo worth 40 pesos. But if you will buy 3 kilos of rice, that will worth 120 pesos. So the first quantity increased, the second also decreased. The last one is the number of kilometers you traveled to the number of your fare. For example, I traveled from Fatima to Masinag. That will cost 10 pesos. But if I will travel from Fatima to Cubao, that one will cost 25 pesos. For problem number 1, we have, if an athlete can run for 900 meters in 30 minutes, how many meters can he run in 45 minutes? For problem number 1, in direct proportion, if an athlete can run 900 meters in 30 minutes, so our ratio here is meters is to minutes. And that will be equal to meters is to minutes. Okay, so the first one, 900 meters, and it will take only 30 minutes. And then, how many meters can he run for 45 minutes? So 45 minutes, and then we are asked to find the meters, so we can write it as x. Okay, so in direct proportion, the basic principle is getting the product of means, which is the inner part of our proportion, and then also getting the product of extremes, which is the outer part of our proportion. Okay, so multiply 900 to 45 and then 30 multiplied by x. 900 multiplied by 45 is 40,500. Is equal to 30 times x is 30x. Getting the value of x, we need to divide it into 30. Cancel, cancel. X now is equal to 1,350. 1,350. Therefore, it will take 1,350 meters to run for 45 minutes. For problem number 2, Miss Lopez went to abroad for an educational tour. She noticed that each guide goes along with 3 tourists. If there are 4 guides, how many tourists would they bring? For our next problem for direct proportion, Miss Lopez went to abroad for an educational tour. So she noticed that each guide goes along with 3 tourists. So our ratio here is guide is to tourist is equal to guide is to tourist. Okay, so the first one, each guide goes along with 3 tourists. So one guide goes along with 3 tourists. Okay, so if there are 4 guides, how many tourists would they bring? So we can write it as x. So the missing number or the unknown variable is represented as the value of x. Now, for direct proportion, as I said a while ago, that will be the product of means and means, extreme and extreme. So 3 multiplied by 4 is equal to 1 multiplied by x. Okay, so 3 times 4 is 12 is equal to 1 times x is x. So therefore, if you will have 4 guides, then you will take or you can bring 4 tourists. The second type of proportion is the inverse proportion. In inverse proportion, it says that if an increase in one quantity results to a decrease in another quantity. Likewise, if a decrease in one quantity results to an increase in another quantity. So one good example for that is a word problem. Okay, so let's give a real life example. For example, one person can build a house in 1 year, but it will only take for 20 person to build a house in just 3 months. So the more people will do the job, the lesser the time that they will consume to finish the job. For our problem number 1 for inverse proportion, it takes Paula, Trisha, Sheila, and Rachel to finish designing a dress in 5 days. If Paula left them, how many days can they finish designing a dress with the same rate? Okay, so now let's first write our given ratio. So that one is girls is 2 days is equal to girls is 2 days. Okay, so the first problem, if Trisha, Paula, Sheila, and Rachel, so we have 4 girls to finish a job or to finish designing a dress in 5 days. So 4 girls can finish designing a dress in 5 days. But one of them, Paula, which is Paula, leave the group. So they will only be 3 girls. Is 2x, where x is the number of days they will finish to design a dress with the same rate. So unlike in direct proportion, that would be the product of extreme means by means, extreme by extreme. Here in inverse proportion, that would be the product of means and the extreme. So this one is the extremes. So 4 multiplied by 5 is equal to 3 multiplied by x. Okay, so multiplying this 2, 4 times 5, you will get 20 is equal to 3 times x is 3x. Getting the value of x, we need to divide it both sides by 3. Okay, so getting the value of x, this one cancel out. Now x is equal to 20 divided by 3 is 6.67. Therefore, it will take 6.67 days to finish designing a dress for 3 girls. Next problem for inverse proportion. 6 men can do a job in 10 days. How many days does it take for men to do the job if all the men work at the same rate? Okay, for our problem in inverse proportion, so we have the ratio of men is 2 days is equal to men is 2 days. Okay, so 6 men can do a job in 10 days. So we have 6 men into 10 days is equal to how many days does it take for 4 men to do the same job? So we have 4 men is 2. The days is being asked in our problem, so we can write it as x. Okay, solving this 2, unlike in our indirect proportion that we will get the product of means and means, here we will get the product of extreme and means. So that will be 6 times 10 is equal to 4 times x. Okay, so that one is x. Okay, so multiplying this 2, 6 times 10, that would be 60 is equal to 4 times x, that would be 4x. Getting the value of x, we need to divide both sides by 4. Cancel, cancel. Now x is equal to 60 divided by 4 is equal to 15. Okay, so x is equal to 15. Therefore, it will take 15 days to finish the job for 4 men. Okay, so it will take 15 days to finish the job for 4 men. Next problem for inverse proportion. 3 men can complete a project in 3 weeks. How many men will be needed if the project is to be completed in 1 week? For inverse proportion, our problem, 3 men can complete a project in 3 weeks. So our ratio will be men is 2 weeks is equal to men is 2 weeks. Okay, so we have 3 men can finish a job or a project in 3 weeks. And then, how many men will be needed if a project is to be completed in 1 week? So we have 1 week. So men here, so we don't know yet how many men, so we can put x as our unknown number. So now for inverse proportion, extreme by means, so 3 times 3 is equal to x times 1. 3 times 3, that would be 9, is equal to x times 1 is also x. Therefore, x is equal to 9. Now, our conclusion will be, it will take 9 men to finish a project in 1 week. The last type of proportion is the partitive proportion. So in partitive proportion, it says that if a given whole is to be divided into several parts given a specified ratio, then partitive proportion is used. Okay, so our first problem for partitive proportion. If a rope 150 cm long is cut into 3 parts in ratio 2:3:5, find the length of each part. Okay, so for our first problem in partitive proportion, as I said, a partitive proportion, if a given whole number is to be divided into several parts with a given or specified ratio. So here we have one rope measured 150 cm. So we have 150 cm rope. Now, it is cut into 3 parts, but not equally. So our ratio for that is 2:3:5. So they are not equally divided. So the ratio for the 3 is 2:3:5. Now we are asked to find the length of each part. How are we going to solve that one? So the first step we need to do is to add all our ratio. So 2 units plus 3 units plus 5 units, that would be equal to 10 units. Okay, now this one, which is our total 150, second step, 150 divided by 10, which is the one that we get in our ratio. So 150 divided by 10 is equal to 15. Okay, so now we have 15. Therefore, to find each length, so we need to multiply 15 times 2, 15 times 3, 15 times 5. Okay, so 15 times 2 is 30, 15 times 3 is 45, 15 times 5 is 75. So we need to put the centimeter unit. Okay, so now we conclude that the length of each part is 30 centimeter, 45 centimeter, and 75 centimeter. If we will add these 3, that would be total into 150 centimeter. So if this one is not equal into 150 centimeter, then your answer is incorrect. Mr. Nas and Mr. Miranda divide their profits into 2:7 ratio. Find each partner's share of profit, which amounts to 450,000. For our next problem for partitive proportion, okay, so we have Mr. Nas and Mr. Miranda divide their profits into 2:7. So our ratio is 2:7 for Mr. Nas and Mr. Miranda. And then their profit is 450,000. Now, how much will Mr. Nas will get? And Mr. Miranda. Okay, to solve that one, our first step, we need to add the units for our given ratio. So 2 plus 7, that one will be equivalent to 9 units. Okay, the next one, the total profit, which is 450,000, we need to divide it to this unit. 9 is equal to 450,000 divided by 9 is 50,000. Okay, now we have 50,000. In order for us to get the share of each partners, which is Mr. Nas and Mr. Miranda, we need to multiply it into our ratio. So 50,000 multiplied by 2. And the next one, 50,000 multiplied by 7. Okay, 50,000 multiplied by 2 is 100,000. And then 50,000 multiplied by 7 is 350,000. Therefore, Mr. Nas will get 100,000 and Mr. Miranda will get 350,000. Okay, to check that one, we will add this 2. So this one will total of 450,000. That is equal to our given profit. Therefore, our answer is correct. Divide 100 into parts of 2 is to 3 is to 5. For our last problem for partitive proportion, divide 100 into parts of 2 is to 3 is to 5. So our given unit is 2 is to 3 is to 5. And that one is we need to divide it into 100. Okay, so the first step is we need to add all the units. So we have 2 plus 3 plus 5. And that will be equivalent to 10 units. Okay, divide that one into the given whole, which is 100. 100 divided by 10 is equal to 10. Now, to get each length, we'll just multiply 10 by 2. 10 multiplied by 3. 10 multiplied by 5. 10 times 2 is 20. 10 times 3 is 30. 10 times 5 is 50. Okay, to make sure that our answer is correct, just add this 3 and we will get 100. That is equal to our given whole, which is also 100. Thank you for watching. See you again for our next MATHerrific videos. Please do click like, share, and subscribe.